you don't need more leads to make more sales or more profits. This is part two. Make sure that you go and like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and be sure to catch part one in case you missed that, because these two are kind of bookends right now and they go hand in hand. So if you're brand new to me, my name is Susan McVeigh, and I am a business sales and wealth strategist, a kingdom business builder, and a married mama of two. And on today's episode, so I just have to reorganize myself a little bit here. We're talking about why most people, and maybe that's you, maybe that's why you stumbled across this video, that they're often chasing after more leads, thinking that that's going to translate into more sales, aka more clients and more profits, when that actually is often not what ends up happening. So if you missed part one, make sure that you go and watch that after you've watched this one. You don't need to go in order because the two are not like sequential. They're just pieces of the same puzzle. So here's what I want all of us to understand, that more leads does not equal to more sales or more profits. Now, why? Because I'm sure you're thinking, but Susan, if only I had more leads, then surely that would equate to more sales and more profits. So let's be very clear here today that sales is not something that is going to be directly connected to the number of leads. In fact, I have known lots of clients, including myself, that have very, very small audiences and have a lot of sales, comparatively speaking, to people who have large followings. Now, I think I may have shared part of this example before, but it bears repeating because I had a client who had a really big following. Now, I think she's well over 100,000 people in her audience. It could be even greater than that. But back when we first started, just one of her social media accounts, right? Just one was well over 80,000 people. And she had quite a substantial email list as well, more than 10,000 people on her list. And yet she was struggling to consistently get 5-figure months. Now, she was not new to business, right? But there was something that just wasn't connecting with how she was translating her offer, the opportunity for people to work with her, her messaging, and how she was positioning herself in the marketplace such that people wanted to buy. Now, here's what I want us to understand, that when you are speaking to the right person at the right time in the right way, that they are going to know what it is that you have to offer and then be incentivized to buy. First and foremost, because you can solve their problem. So without a demand for the problem that you solve, which is ultimately going to be solved through the solutions that you provide that people pay for, then people aren't going to really have a need to buy. Now, that's not to say that people only buy to solve problems, but definitely it is a greater incentive when somebody has what I call a bleeding neck problem. And I mean, that's a widespread marketing term where there's urgency and there is a personal responsibility on the person who is struggling to fix something, right? That they are going to go and seek out a solution, perhaps the very thing that you offer. Now, does it have to be that way? No, not at all. In fact, a lot of my clients come to me simply because they're wanting to improve and that they know that there's something that's not quite working. It either is because they lack complete fulfillment or ease or simplicity, or they just want to get from here to there, right? And there may not even be anything that's actually wrong. In fact, I had a client who came to me, already had a successful 7-figure business, and she wanted a more strategic way to be able to help more people. So for her, it was really more important that she was creating more impact. And she could sense that the way that things were being built, the way that she had already built things, was simply not going to allow her the freedom to be able to help as many people as she wanted. And as a result, she was looking for more strategic direction. She was looking for a plan. She wanted to understand how to better utilize her leads. And so in her case, we actually didn't need more leads. She already had people in her audience. She had people on her list. She already had existing customers that knew and liked her and trusted her. And we needed to tighten that up in terms of her sales process such that more of those people would buy and more frequently, and to ensure that her price points were adequate so that it covered any costs that were going to continue in her business, to really keep an eye on her profit margin and her bottom line as well. Now, she was transitioning from having an offline practice as well as an online coaching business. She wanted to go more all in on the coaching side of things. And so her business model was going to shift quite dramatically, actually, because the profit in her offline business was much lower than in her online business, because she had to pay for an office. She had to pay for staff. She had to pay for all of these things that were required in order to run an actual physical brick and mortar location, to do very similar work, but she had less impact because she had to be with those people, with her clients, right? So here's what does impact your bottom line and the sales that drive the bottom line, because your sales is the top line, right? Your revenue is like what comes through the door. And then your profits is what ends up being the amount that you have available to keep. So we're not going to go into a ton of detail about the difference between sales and profits in a lot of, specifics. For right now, I want us to understand that more leads and attracting more potential customers, more leads and prospects, is not going to translate into more sales and profits automatically. Here's what does. Number one is leads who are ready and willing to buy. So we talked a little bit about this during part one as well. What I want us to focus on in this part, in part two today, is that leads who are ready and willing to buy give you higher conversion rates. And that means that for the same amount of effort, for the same amount of work, for the same amount of volume of leads that you're generating through your existing marketing and sales processes, that those people will help to translate into more paying customers and sales if you are concentrating or attracting and focusing on how you message, how you create content for, and how you connect to the individuals who are willing and ready to buy. Now, both need to be in place, right? Sometimes people are willing, but they're not ready. There's either it's not the right time, it is just not the right opportunity for them. Something else is going on in their life such that they can't move forward to buy. So they're willing, but they're just not ready. And alternatively, you have people who are ready to buy, but something is getting in the way, right? They're not willing to do the work. There may be beliefs that are holding them back. There may be situations or circumstances that need to be dealt with. They may actually have legitimate reasons, like they are in the middle of finishing off a course or a program with somebody else. And so they don't actually have the time or the bandwidth or the capability to be able to focus on what it is that you're going to be working with them on. So we need to have both. We need to have leads who are ready. We need to have leads who are willing. And when that comes together, where you are the solution for the problems and or the desires that they have, the things that they want in their lives, then they will say yes. And you'll see higher conversion rates. You will see more sales. You will have better customers and clients working with you. And that makes you probably happier because you'll be able to get better results with the people that you're working with, right? So that's number one. Number two, which connects with this as well, you need to have a solid sales process. So ideally, you have a process that is supported by an actual system. What does that mean? Well, you need to have a step-by-step logical way where individuals that you want to work with are going to be identifying for themselves, do I actually want to do this with you? Do I believe that I can do this? And more importantly, do I believe that what it is that you offer to me is the right solution? And if your sales process and the systems, which includes the tools and the technology, but also potentially you and your team depending on how you're going to navigate these conversations and these interactions with your potential customers, that if those two really help create a cohesive experience, then you again should have more ease, more simplicity, and more fun, not just for you, but ultimately for your customers and your clients as well. You want to make it fun. You want to make it easy for them to buy. And you want to make it such that they don't just buy once, but they have an opportunity to buy over and over and over again. Now, here's the thing. Oftentimes, what ends up happening is that we're told the lie that you can't give people a complete transformation. That in order for you to create customers kind of for life, that you have to hold something back, that you have to essentially, parse out little by little, bit by bit, what it is that you want people to work on as if they need to be spoon fed. Now, that's not true at all. What I want you to think about for yourself is, how do you like to buy? Because oftentimes we mirror what we are going to do for our best clients. And if you like to get, here's all the information for that specific solution, for that specific thing that you have just purchased, and you would be upset if somebody actually held something back and said, hey, but wait, in order for you to get the actual information, you're going to have to go over here. You only get 40, 50, 60, even 80% over here. And the real goods is over here. So you're going to have to buy that over there. How aggravated, how frustrated, how, upset would you be? And so while you want to make sure that people don't get overwhelmed, you do want to be very strategic and thoughtful in creating a comprehensive and cohesive product suite, an offer suite, where in order for people to get the answers that they are looking for, whatever is the offer is full and complete. So let me give you an example, because I think sometimes we get hung up on this, and this can really trip us up because the marketers out there, hello, bro marketer, I'm looking at you, dude. They would have us believe that in order for us to have an actual customer journey, which I talked about during part one, that you actually can't give people everything. And I'm here to tell you, give as freely as openly as you want. In fact, most of my content, most of the information that I provide here is free. Why? Because I want to help you. And I know that when I help you with this one thing, that there is an opportunity for you to have another thing that you're going to need more help with. And chances are, if it is something that I have already taught, created, sold, and offered to my best clients, that you may want to buy one of those things, right? So here's how this works in real life. So I have a program, a signature program called Sell with More Ease. It is my exact framework that I have used inside of corporate and now inside of my business that has created hundreds of millions of dollars. It's been responsible for selling over $1 billion to date. And that system makes selling very simple and easy. It doesn't make you feel sleazy. It allows you to fully diagnose and prescribe a solution for your customers. And it allows you to not waste time if in fact somebody is not ready to work with you. So it's really, really simple and straightforward. Now, inside of that, there are different pieces, right? There is a whole module on how to get clients booked. Now, that being said, the focus for this program is really on sales conversations. Like, what are you saying when you get somebody on the phone or in person, or it also translates into DM and text kinds of conversations, because once you know the framework, you can apply that in any interaction that you're having with somebody. So while it is built for face-to-face or virtual face-to-face sort of conversations, that certainly doesn't have to be the only way that it is applied. That is the promise, that I will help you to at least double your conversions, because in my experience, most people are coming with anything under 50%, right? Usually averaging around 10, 20, maybe 30 to 40%. And if we could double that conversion rate on your very next conversation, meaning instead of hearing no over and over and over again, you're going to start hearing more yeses than nos without having to do anything really drastically different, just to structure your sales conversation differently, then you're going to get the solution, which is more sales. Now, there is one module in there where I talk about how to get calls booked, right? And so, is it a lead generation sort of program? No, it's not, because it's for people who already have calls booked, but those calls are not translating into paying customers and clients. And that is the promise. That is the solution. And I'm very clear on the problem. Now, if somebody was coming to me and saying, well, Susan, I also need to get more calls booked, there is a completely different program that would help them to do that. And that is my Get Fully Booked program. Guess what it does? It helps you to get fully booked. Now, again, that program is full and complete because it is all about how to get your content turning into customers, would-be customers, people who are interested, people who are looking for your services and willing to put up their hand to say, hey, can you help me? How can you help me? And where do I go to get information on how you can best serve the things that I have need for? These are two full and complete programs. Now, the Get Fully Booked program, in order for you to get fully booked, you need to have people who are willing and able and ready to work with you and to identify themselves as such. And inside of the Sell with More Ease program, there is a component of getting calls booked, because if people don't have enough volume to be able to practice some of these sales skills, then it gives you 10 easy ways to be able to get your calendar full of clients, right? So that there is a tiny bit of overlap, but I'm very clear that you don't need the Get Fully Booked program unless you have these other issues or these other wants, these other areas that you want addressed. And you are complete using Sell with More Ease without having to do the other program. But if, in fact, you actually want more leads that turn into paying customers and you want your content to help to do that, then the Get Fully Booked program is the one that's going to be the best one for you. So that's what I mean, right? You don't need to have both in order to get the outcome. Each one is complete in and of themselves. Now, in traditional marketing speak, and where people get so stuck in creating the best offer for their customers, is because they're trying to hold something back, because they're coming to this from a place of scarcity or lack. They're afraid that if I give people this, then they won't want to keep buying with me. So I have to hold something back. I intentionally am going to not put that in, because they're not clear on the solution that they provide. They're not clear on the problem that they solve. And they also don't fully understand their best dream clients, the ones that are willing to pay more and more and more, simply because it's not about you holding back and saying, I'm just going to put you through the ringer and make you pay more in order to get the answer and the solution. It's because you understand that your customer, your clients, especially your premium buyers, are complex and they have different needs. And depending on what it is that you can help them with, maybe you actually can serve them in multiple ways, not just in 1, 2, or even 3 ways, right? And your offers reflect the very specific nature of how you can help them. And when you give them that solution, you're all in. That is all of that information for them. I'm going to give you another example, because I think sometimes we get really stuck on this, right? The sales process and the system, and then how to help your people such that they can buy over and over again and not just once, without it feeling like you're doing something clickbaity or a bait and switch or something that is really not okay. So inside of my Create Your Irresistible Offer program, in order for you to create an offer, there's different components to it, right? And one of those key things that often clients get hung up on is pricing, Now, inside of that program, the pricing information that I provide, the strategy that I give is solid, it's good, it is not super duper in depth because it's not meant to have you overanalyze what your price points are. It's to allow you to make a decision and get on with it. And as a result, people who follow that system, follow the program, they get results. Now, as I was going through and having conversations with clients, especially in different types of scenarios where they were asking, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about this? And some of them were getting really stuck. And now they already had their offers, they already knew the system, but they needed to go a little bit deeper dive, right? Either because now they were adding on a completely different type of offer. Maybe they had sold services and now they were delving into products, or vice versa. Or they were looking at digital products versus higher end programs and premium services like a mastermind or one on one coaching and consulting services. And so they needed to consider different things. And so they wanted to be better supported with some additional pricing strategies that made sense for them. And as a result, I took one piece out of the entire parcel of how to create an offer because pricing is just one piece. Is it important? Yeah, it is. But is it the only piece? No, not by a long shot. And so as I was listening to my best clients and customers and hearing their feedback and some of the questions that were coming up, the issue of pricing kept coming up over and over and over again. And so when I asked them, would it be helpful for me to actually do a deep dive on pricing strategies alone? That's all I talk about. And they all unilaterally said, yes, 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 please, please, please. And so I created my profitable pricing strategies course. It is short and sweet and to the point because it is narrow and deep. And it goes a lot deeper than I have needed to go in any one of my other programs. Because if you are struggling with this idea of pricing, then this is going to really help you to think through the different strategies that will support your decision so that you feel confident and supported in whatever it is that you have made. Now, does that mean that the pricing information inside of Create Your Irresistible Offer was not enough? Not at all. Because again, I've had clients that have gone through that and quickly maneuvered. And that was the point, right? This is enough information for you to get going without going so deep that it's going to be overkill and paralyze you from actually getting your offers out the door. Because offer creation, there's an art and a science to it. Now, pricing also has an art and a science to it. And that in and of itself could be a whole niche just unto its own. For those that are more established, going into the psychology, right? The sales psychology and the buyer behavior to understand why you would use certain pricing, how charm pricing works as an example, how to leverage the existing prices that you already have to create price anchoring. So there's different buyer behavior, there's different sales psychology, there's different actual financial components to this too, right? Where you're considering, especially for product-based businesses, what is your cost of goods sold? So I break that down in a little bit more detail inside of that specific course. So that is super micro niche. It is solving a very specific problem that helps my dream clients still get what they want. It is an additional point, not a replacement to, but it is an additional piece that would help support clients who are a little bit more advanced and or this is a sticking point for them. They really want to be fully supported around pricing. So Create Your Irresistible Offer is still full and complete. That's what I'm talking about, right? And so your sales process and your sales systems need to be able to support your customers so that they can buy again, so that they feel good about the fact that, hey, I just bought Create Your Irresistible Offer, and now you're offering me, or there's a potential for me to purchase profitable pricing. What gives? Like, don't I have enough here? Yeah, they do. And they know that when they go through it. But they realize if I'm still stuck here, here's some additional support that could help you. And that allows people to then buy not just once, not just twice, but over and over and over again, because you have created a cohesive product suite and offer library, so to speak, where people can go and kind of a la carte choose the things that are best suited for them. But you also are doing some guiding. You also are doing some leading. You also are using your tools and systems and processes and allowing yourself to understand the clear pathway, which we talked about yesterday on part one. So go and watch that video, exactly how to maneuver uh, and help your clients maneuver through what you have to offer such that they can continue to make the best decisions for them to get the best outcomes that they desire. So the last part for today is understanding your numbers. Because here's what happens. Oftentimes we want more sales and more profits, but we don't understand our numbers. We don't have any data to back up the action steps that we are taking, which means that we can't make good decisions. So what ends up happening? Well, you're working a lot harder than you need to. And that, my friend, is very frustrating because you certainly don't need to be recreating the wheel when you already have parts of the wheel in your wheelhouse. Like literally, this is within your control. Now, how long and how many numbers do you need to look at? It's going to depend. But what I would suggest is that you allow yourself the space and the grace to be in test mode, experimental mode, data gathering mode for at least 90 days, because you won't see any trend lines for at least that period of time. Now, can you still take action before that period of time? Sure, you can. And I would highly encourage that you need to take action consistently, probably every single day, right? In order to be able to drive results. But what do those activities need to look like? Again, it's going to depend, right? And that's why we can't say that more leads will equal more sales or profits, because if your sales conversions are really low. So I'll give you an example. I had a client who came to me and she was amazing at what she was doing. She actually was a lead generation specialist. So leads was not her problem at all. In fact, she had 44 leads and one customer. Okay, 44 leads and one customer. So she had already had 44 conversations with people who were her dream clients, ideal clients. And she was struggling because only one of them said yes to her offer. And when she came to me, she was beyond frustrated because she had used all of her marketing budget in getting these leads. And at the end of the day, she was exhausted, she was frustrated, and she felt really guilty and ashamed that she wasn't able to figure this out sooner. And I said, well, it's not your fault, because at the end of the day, you're not a sales expert. You are a lead generation marketing expert. And you're not responsible for making sales. Although in your business, you 100% are the one that's responsible for making the sales. So it is very critical that if this is you right now, that you increase and improve your ability to sell, that you increase and improve your conversion rates before you start pouring a lot of energy, time, focus, attention on the front end of something, because the back end might be completely broken. And when that happens, you have a leaking bucket. And the more that you pour in, the more is going to go out. And this goes across the board, whether it's for sales or for profit. Because if you have a very low profit margin and you do the same thing, you keep putting more and more in, and let's be clear, actually. If you're okay with a low profit margin, then you just keep doing that. But most of the time, my clients come to me because they're tired. And when I look at the numbers, I ask, why is your profit margin like this? Why are your sales conversion numbers like this? Now, if they have been able to track and document these numbers, then you are off to the races, because it means that we can already start in a solid place without having to gather as much data. But regardless of where you're at, you are constantly going to be gathering more and more data, because every single day that you do something, you are going to receive more information. And that information should be informing you to help you to make better decisions, right? So this client, 44 calls, one paying customer. In the span of less than a month in working together, she actually took the Sale with More Ease program. She was able to identify exactly where she was going wrong. Like at what point she was losing people in these conversations. And more importantly, the ones that she shouldn't have gotten on the calls with in the first place. Some of the things where she overrode her own gut. She could sense that there was something not quite right, but her desperation in wanting to help people, her desperation in needing it to work, her desperation in wanting to make sure that she wasn't, wasting the opportunity with these people who she had paid money to generate as leads, that she was doing her part. And as a result, she was feeling defeated because imagine 43 no's. So in the span of less than a month, I think it was closer to a week or 2 weeks, because she just went back and talked to essentially the same people. So she didn't have to spend any more money. She had to spend some time, and she had to get over herself to be able to say, hey, like, gulp, I didn't do this right the first time, and I want to re-engage the conversation. Now, none of those people thought any worse of her as a result. In fact, most of them didn't remember the first conversation. So if right now you're thinking, oh my gosh, I am not going to be able to do this because I've already messed up. You haven't, I promise you, right? That in doing that, she was able to go back, have 7 conversations, and out of those 7, 4 were ready to buy, and they bought on the spot, paid in full, her premium offer. So the offer didn't change. The structure of who she was, did it change? Sure, it did, because she had to believe differently in order to take different actions. And as a result, she understood her numbers and what that meant so that we could diagnose and fully assess and prescribe the exact solution. So that's what your numbers do for you. When your numbers tell you that, hey, I have a lead generation problem, then absolutely go after more leads. But if that's not the issue, I want us to work backwards again from where do you make a sale? And the closest part to making a sale is going to be the best and fastest and easiest way for you to get more sales or profits and paying customers, rather than the farthest part, which is how do I attract more people to me? Right? Because there are steps maybe involved between getting a stranger or somebody who's completely cold to you to then turning them into a buyer. Can you do that? Yes, you can. And it can be done very simply and easily through your messaging, through your positioning, through your content and how you show up, your energy, your vibe, like how you believe in your own products and services, all of that. We're not going to talk into that today in a lot of detail, but understanding your numbers so that you can hold more clients. More clients means more cash, right? That you actually have the capacity, the space to do that your systems and your process can handle that you have properly diagnosed where the problem lies so that you can take the appropriate actions. Then that means that you truly have created a freedom-based business. So you can work less, you can make more, and you can actually get your money working harder for you because you'll have more time to do so. So I want you to today go watch part 1 and probably part 2 over again, because there's a lot of stuff that I unpacked here that will help you. And if you want to make 6 or even 7 figures quickly, right? You don't have to wait a lifetime to do this. I want you to grab my free 6-figure blueprint. You can grab that at susanmcveigh.com/blueprint. And please hang tight, because I just realized that my automations and all that, for some reason, has not been kicking on. Thank you, Gigi, for alerting me. It was on, it's now off, it was on, and now it's off again. So in case you've been having problems, go in and sign up for it. It'll have you on the list. And then I am going to work my darndest to get that figured out between me and my team over the next couple of days, depending on when you're watching this video. So make sure that you do get on that list, because you will be the first to know and get access to that free resource as soon as it is up and running again. And I apologize in advance because I don't know what's going on. I'm not sure what happened there or why it just stopped. I may have turned it off at one point to try and update it and never turned it back on. So please excuse the human, hashtag real life. And if you want to know what to do with all the cash that you're making now that you have your sales and your profits kind of dialed in, I want you to fast track your way to millions. And this is the exact strategies that I have used for myself, for my clients in corporate, and now in my business. You can grab my ABCs of Building Wealth ebook, and that is over at susanmcveigh.com/wealth, WEALTH. Let me just put those on the screen, at least for this gift. Okay, so grab your free gift. Go and grab the ebook. That one is not free, but it definitely will help you. And it is one of the lowest ways that you can invest, I think, in yourself in order to help you to have a solid foundation. So don't ignore the numbers. Don't ignore your finances. Don't ignore your money, because what your attention is on will grow. And we want to put your attention on the things that matter the most for you. And if you're here on this channel, it's because you want more freedom. You want more time freedom. You want more financial freedom. You want more peace of mind. You want to grow your business and grow your impact and not have to sacrifice yourself, your faith, your family, or having fun. And I know that building a business, growing to 6, 7, or even 8 figures, like some of my clients have done, it takes work. It takes effort. It takes focus. It takes discipline. It can feel hard, but it doesn't have to be hard. And even dealing with your money, it can be hard, but it doesn't have to feel hard, especially when you have the shortcuts. So that's what I'm hoping to give you with these resources that I have mentioned today. Make sure that you go and grab those, and be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Share this out to somebody that you know would benefit from watching this, and we will see you again on the next episode. Thanks so much.